make the senator we talked about as the antagonist, but there's kind of another institutional villain. I get the feeling in this story.
Yeah, Sheriff Parker.
Oh, well, maybe there's two.
Oh, who were you thinking about?
I was thinking about the BLM.
Oh, that isn't institutional.
But are they more ambivalent? Maybe they're not all bad.
BLM is kind of the palette on which all of this crap is painted on, right? And the BLM, I don't see the BLM as being an evil institution or a benevolent institution. In the book, because Senator Rudd is a powerful senator, he can control the BLM to his own personal use, and he does so at his discretion. You know, in modern day politics, the BLM and wild horses do clash, and there is a constant pressure because the BLM, they're mandated by Congress to manage the wild horses, and so you know that's a big deal. You've got all the millions of acres. You've got, you know, I don't know how many wild horse herds there are, but you know, that puts a strain as those horse populations grow. It puts a strain on the resources. You know, and they get pressure from the cattle industry, and you got the environmentalists on the other side trying to, you know, just get you know, horses and cattle off the land, and you know, just lock up everything so the tortoises don't die. And so the BLM kind of is in the center of this hurricane, you know, of politics, and that does. There's a little bit of backstory on that.
Well, it's a bureaucracy, right?
Well, the BLM's a bureaucracy, but then you've got the cattle industry, you've got the environmentalists, you've got the wild horse advocates. You know, I mean, it's a battlefield basically out there, because we've stopped the horse slaughter in the states. It's illegal to slaughter a horse for meat or for products of any kind. And where before that law was passed, the BLM could cull the horses, you know, round them up, take the excess horses, take them to slaughter, be done with it. Now they take the excess horses and they put them in holding pens. There's one here in Utah, and so the horses are gathered together in this kind of strange environment, and there's an adopt a horse program, but yeah, let's go get a wild Mustang for little Sally, right? I mean, it's just not real practical to try to get homes for those horses. So this is really kind of a strange environment right now, and it's tragic in a certain sense, and there's no easy answers to it. But there's a whole story to that, a whole backstory to that as well.
I'm just curious, there is a scene, and I don't want to give any spoilers, but there is a scene where, as I recall, there is a helicopter being used to drive the horses.
Yes.
And does that terrorize them, the wild herds?
Yes.
Is that something?
Would terrorize a wild horse, yes.
Horses,
you know, they're just the nature, they're prey animals. And so they're very alert for any little thing that might come and eat them. And so, you know, they're always grazing, they've got one eye out looking. In the structure of a herd, you'll have the you know, the main herd, you know, kind of in protected in here, and then, you know, the stallions are on the outside, you know, making sure everything is
ready
okay.
to do battle.
Yeah, and so you've put a helicopter above these wild horses. Yeah, that terrorizes them. Yeah.
My next thought, and sorry, it doesn't really have a lot to do with the book, but you see all of this beautiful footage on PBS of horses running on the range, and you know that it's a helicopter shot. So.
Right. You know, and what are you gonna do?
Okay, well, let's go back to that other perhaps institutional villain, the sheriff's office.
Okay.
Sheriff Parker.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about Sheriff Parker. What's his motivation? Is he related to Senator Rudd?
He's Senator Rudd's nephew. He's Senator Rudd's sister's son. And he was put in charge of the town to carry out the wishes of the senator. And he does a pretty good job of it. And he's got all the modern conveniences of technology, and because there's just largesse, you know, raining down on his department from his connections in Washington. And he is tasked to, you know, investigate. Well, I guess we got to, you know, there is a tragedy that happens out on Senator Rudd's ranch, where men die and horses die. And there's this something happens out there, and it's Parker's job to blame it on Angel Ridge to kind of fulfill this family feud, and that happens.
And so the sheriff, I know he has a lot of great toys.
He does.
And that's pork barrel politics
Yes.
coming into play.
That's right.
What about as a man? What about as a human being?
The character of the sheriff is a petty man, quick to anger, vindictive, not real happy with himself, and that comes to bear on the people that he tries to prosecute.
Anne's boss, Matthew, is it?
Well, Matthew is Rosie's brother, and Matthew owns the television station that Anne works at, and Matthew has a lot of clout in, you know, getting his version of the story out, and so he uses his position in on his side of the family feud to you know, sling his rocks and arrows at the senator.
You mean this isn't fair and balanced journalism?
There's no such thing as fair and balanced journalism. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
But so you have this, you know, so Matthew Clark, who's Rosie's brother, he's got a dog in the hunt, and he sends Anne up there unknowingly to her to kind of get, you know, to help his side against, you know, in the family feud, and Anne kind of gets caught in the middle of this whole thing, and she didn't know it at first, and, you know, finally it dawns on her what's going on, and of course she's a little resentful, you know, she's like, you know, so anyway, there's that, there's this kind of a tension there as well, and you know, Anne gets caught up in this whole, just, you know, drama between the Clarks and the Rudds, and, you know, the horses are in the middle, and she gets swept up in that, and, you know, a little beat up,